Hello, I'm Daniel. I'm going to talk to you about meditation and some different forms and things. That's it. So, first of all, I want to say that traditionally, in early Buddhism, only monks and nuns did meditation practice. It was not normal for most of Buddhist history for people like you and me to do meditation practice. But as time has went on, especially as Buddhism has come here, it has become more and more common for lay people to do practice. So what did they do? Typically, it used to be in the old days, monks and nuns would do practice, regular people would support the monks and nuns, and hope that they could generate good karma that way. And now, in the modern world, Buddhism is, I think, more and more moving away from the idea of generating good karma. So these days, there's a lot less of that sort of thinking, and there's a lot more of, well, the Buddha made this for everyone. And even there's lay people in the Buddhist time who were practicing, so I don't know how it became something mainly for monks, but it did. And now our teaching, though, is about mindfulness, meditation, in everyday life. Sitting all the time like a monk could is not possible for us, but we can also learn how to work with our minds as well. In addition to sitting when we can sit. Mind sitting, or moment-to-moment mindfulness, that's something we can work on cultivating. It's having a not moving mind. How do we keep a not moving mind? We have to step outside of our opinions about our condition and our situation from the moment to moment, to just be fully present instead of carrying whatever baggage we are carrying into whatever situation we're in. When we're doing something, we want to learn how to just do it. That is what I call everyday Zen, or everyday meditation. It's just being here and doing whatever we're doing. For lay people like us, the teachings of other teachings that are important are teachings like love, compassion, and the Bodhisattva way. To attain that, it's necessary to keep a mind that doesn't move, to keep an everyday Zen mind. Then we can come into a more enlightened, more harmonious interaction with the world around us. There are some different forms of meditation, and I'm going to talk about those in a moment. But first I'm going to talk about mind practices. These practices are the heart of meditation. They have different effects on the mind when they're practiced, and also different ones work for different people. In all the meditation techniques, though, the breath is important. To calm our body down, it's helpful to take several long, deep breaths at the beginning of the meditation, and then our breath is important because it's such a strong barometer of our emotions. When we're nervous, when our minds are scattered, we're breathing differently than when we're still. So it's sort of like the mind follows what the body's doing. So if our breathing is normal, then and we're still, physically still, then our mind is still as well. And I'm going to talk about some different meditation techniques now. The one that's recommended for beginners usually is called counting the breath, or following the breath. This brings attention to each breath and helps us to still and focus the mind. There is counting. We count the breath, and that brings attention to it, so that every time something distracts us, we bring our attention back to the breath by counting. And some people do counting the breath and they don't ever do anything else, and I think that's okay. In my tradition, we generally recommend it for beginners. And we count on either the inhale or the exhale. The count is done either constantly, so every in-breath you count 1, every out-breath you count 2, and you just keep doing that till the meditation's over, or sometimes it's done where you just try to get to 10 and then you start over. It's hard to get to 10 without being distracted, though, so generally we're starting over and going back to 1 a lot, because you go back to 1 every time something comes into your mind to distract you. Always return to 1. And this is, I think, the most well-known and common and suggested meditation form. The second one I'm going to talk about is called keeping a question. And this is a Zen technique, and questions are used like, who am I? What am I experiencing right now? What is this? We want to let go of all thinking and opinions and baggage and just return to that question, who am I? Who am I is the one I like. Who am I? Because when we try to answer that question, of course, we don't really know. We can try to analyze who we are, but that's tough. The practice is usually coordinated with the breath. So on the inhale, you ask, who am I? And then on the exhale, you answer, I don't know. That's generally how it's done. Or the reverse of that can be done too, where you ask, who am I on the exhale, and then on the inhale, you ask, I don't know. And when I say ask, I mean that you're doing that mentally. You're not saying it out loud. And this technique promotes letting go of our baggage, coming to our mind before we're thinking, before we're engaging the baggage that we're bringing into our experience. And so I really like keeping a question. It's called huato, which is a hard word to say, so I do prefer to call it keeping a question. Third technique I want to talk about is called mantra practice. I am not the biggest fan of mantra practice, but people swear by it. People love it. That is, we're using a short phrase to calm the mind and strengthen the center. It is done in the Zen tradition. There's different mantras, and it's a different practice based on what mantra it is. A lot of them are short. Shorter ones are usually preferred. We want to mentally recite the mantra constantly, paying attention to it and allowing all other thinking to drop away. And this can be very difficult, of course. It's hard to allow other thinking to drop away, but the benefit of mantra practice is we can do it in our day-to-day life too. When I'm walking from the car to my desk at work, I can be chanting, Kuan Yin, Kuan Yin, Kuan Yin, and that's a helpful thing to do. And we can just, whenever we get distracted thinking about something, bring the mind back to the mantra. It's the same tool that we used for the counting the breath, really. We bring the mind back to the mantra every time we're distracted. And one mantra, there's a couple of mantras I can recommend that are from the Zen tradition. There is one called clear mind, don't know. And that's just breathe in, say clear mind. Breathe out, say don't know. Clear mind, don't know. Clear mind, don't know. And I think that's sort of a good one. A lot of people recommend mantras in foreign languages, and I'm going to talk about one of those next. And those don't always mean very much to us. So when Tibetans were chanting Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, they know what that means. And when we chant it, we can look it up and know what it means, but in the traditional practice, they knew what that meant that they were chanting. So I think it's the mantra that they were repeating, rather, not chanting. So in that sense, it's sort of different. And I want to also, but that being said, there's one mantra that is from the Korean tradition, and it is a compassion mantra, and it is Kwanseum Bosal. Kwanseum Bosal, and we can just mentally repeat this over and over. It's really been suggested in the Korean Zen tradition for people whose mind cannot be quiet at all, for people that just really, 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 really struggle and they just feel like they're getting nowhere with meditation. Because it's easy to repeat over and over, Kwanseum Bosal, Kwanseum Bosal, Kwanseum Bosal. And so it's said to really help break through that difficulty concentrating. Kwanseum Bosal, Kwanseum Bosal. And so I have had some success with that technique. And then, of course, we can do a really short mantra, which is Om. I think people know that one. Om, 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 Om. You just mentally repeat that over and over. And whenever a thought distracts you again, you just go back to that Om. It's supposed to be the sound of the universe. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is called Clear Mind Meditation. And that is, to me, the height of meditation practice. Clear mind meditation. It's also called silent illumination. It is just sitting and being aware of what's going on in just this moment. To just be present without judgment. It's really challenging for a lot of people. You have to do the groundwork of these other practices to get there, I think. But once you get there, it's my favorite. This is the moment-to-moment mind. You just hear the birds in the trees. You just hear the cars go by outside. You don't bring any importance to it, but you just are aware of what's happening. And when thoughts come in your mind, you're just aware of those thoughts. You're not trying to fight them, you're just aware of them and you're not clinging to them. To the clear mind, there's no such thing as noisy. Everything is what it is. This is not generally recommended for beginners, but it is a technique I like a lot, clear mind meditation. So those are the meditation techniques, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Have a good day.